Thank you. In today's episode, we're talking about making the solo. I'll tell you all about it. This might be episode 1. This might be the last one. I don't know. It's up to you. Let's get started. Hello, this is David. Welcome to the channel, which is all about helping you develop your musical personality on the instrument, which today is a new Kiesel. It's a Delos? I don't know. I'm known to mispronounce names. But it's an awesome guitar. I'll tell you more about it later. Anyways, what is this episode about? Well, it's about really engaging with the thing we have to play over, the backing track, this one in this case. We're gonna take just a segment of this backing track, and we're gonna talk about how to build a solo that has all the right ingredients. So this is gonna be approached kind of as a compositional type of thing. So we have this backing track, we need to write something over it. What do we do? And you know what I'm gonna say. Yes, you put the guitar down and you start singing. We're not gonna do this because I like this thing. We're just gonna listen first. We're not gonna touch our guitar. We don't wanna be influenced. We're just gonna listen. Maybe there's some clues as to some elements that we really need to put in there. And there are here. So the piano. See that movement? Almost like a theme. Dum, ba, bum. That's important. Bum, ba, ba, dum, ba, dum, bum. That's really important. That's something that kind of like resonates, and it's a big part, I think, of what's going on. It's not just a backing track like this. It's a backing track with some things that are drawn on it. This brings me to the analogy of stories, and you know that I love stories. And really the backing track is your canvas on which you're gonna tell your story. Sometimes the canvas is empty, an empty page on which you just have to write whatever you wanna write. Musically speaking, an empty page would be a backing track made of just maybe drums and a single bass line. So the options are really multiple. All you need to respect is maybe the rhythm, right? Every note's gonna be attracted to that single bass line. Well, here it's not the case. We still have that canvas, but on that canvas, that blank page, we have a few elements of the story that are already drawn or sang or played. In this case, it's that line. Ba, ba. It's almost like you have a mountain or something, a shape in the story, and you have to build your story around it. That's an important part of it. So I'm gonna try to replicate that on my instrument. That's my first step. So let's listen to the pitches again, try to internalize what's going on, sing inside, following the piano line. Da, 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 which is an important part of the backing track here, of our story. And then we're gonna play that on our instrument. So you can fish around, you can try to find it. The more you do this, the more, the faster it's gonna be. So here I'm gonna play everything on the second string, frets 7, 5, 2, 2, 3, 3, 5. That's kind of the line we have. So let's play it with the track. That's for the first step. In essence, we are basically tracing exactly what is being on our canvas. So again, the canvas is the thing on which you're telling your story. Here you don't have just a blank page, you have some important things that are already part of the story, that melodic line, that mountain. Now, if we just trace the mountain, it's really not gonna add anything. Instead of just tracing exactly, which is in essence what I just did when I played this theme exactly, I'm going to enhance it a little bit, maybe add some details, some curves to the lines that are already in front of me, that melodic line. So this is where your fingers kind of take over. As I was playing this, my fingers started to associate with these notes recognizable patterns. And this comes with practice. Eventually, you will know that these pitches, da, ba, 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 on the second string, can be complemented with others. It really comes very naturally as you develop a fretboard knowledge. It's really an instinctive thing. We're not worried about scales, patterns, shapes, none of that. Your fingers really take over. Now, how do they take over? Well, they take over by by practicing scales, keys, patterns, shapes, but it really comes very naturally, and your ear will always be your guide. So now that I know that I can surround these pitches that were in my mountain with these other notes, I'm going to take a few liberties. I'm still going to follow the curves of that object. I like to objectify. There you go. Weird word of the day. Objectify. I don't know. My second language English is pretty good, but it's not perfect. Anyways, I like to make object of musical things. We're going to follow that object, but with some liberties. So we're going to follow the rhythm really, and kind of the movement of the melodic idea with some of these surrounding notes. So we'll just play a little bit with that and see what happens. Before playing, this reminds me that I like to start with my volume down a little bit. I don't want to go all the way up to 10 because when I'm joining a story, I want to easily, gently blend in. I don't want to scream right away. So my volume is going to go to, if all the way up is 10, maybe 8.5. That'll give me more reserves for later on, and it allows me to really blend very naturally into what's going on. So again, I'm going to follow the curves of that object, that melodic line, but with a few liberties with other notes that I have around here. So let's see what happens. Something else is happening here. We'll get to that in just a minute, but what we did here was easily join the conversation. This new section, I think, is an opportunity for us to kind of take over. Something is happening in the story, and we're going to direct that. Again, more on that in a few seconds, but the opening is us blending in and kind of taking over a little bit, but very naturally, by changing the notes slightly with the other possible notes that we can play because our fingers kind of took over. Now we'll call it an opening theme, the opening statement, setting the stage. It happens over, I didn't count, but it's dividable by 2. It almost sounds like we have this first section. Da da ba ba da ba da ba 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 da 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 ba. That'll be section number 1, and then it's duplicated. Music, I think, or at least the type of music I enjoy, is not too repetitive. I like movement, I like change. Now that doesn't mean that I have to have a new chord all the time, but I like to have slight changes. So I think what I'm going to do is start with that theme where it was played in that zone of the fretboard here, where I was starting with the 7th fret of the 2nd string, for the first, half of that movement. And then I'll repeat the same ideas, but an octave higher. And that's a trick that, you hear it a lot. Satriani does it all the time. Andy Timmons, all those melodic guys, they like to do that. And that's what we're going to do here. So let's jam a little bit with that. And that'll take us to the next section where we're really going to start adding some twists and new things to the story. But let's start with the beginning. Something along those lines. We'll make it a little more guitar friendly at the end of this video, but this brings us to this new section. This new section kind of takes the story somewhere else, opens things up. We started with maybe introducing the characters, and now something is happening. Gives you an emotion. There's a change of chord. The theme, the mountain or whatever it is kind of distant. It's not really there anymore. It's more chord changes. And that's a good opportunity for us to take over and really tell something that we want to tell and add our own flavor. this does not mean that you can play whatever you want. You're still part of this ongoing story. There are other characters that are heard in the backing track. You're one of those characters, but you all have to play together nicely. You need to respect what's going on in the track. You need to respect the elements of the story that is being told. So you need to respect the pace, that's the tempo, the rhythm. You also need to respect the characters that are in the story. The notes, right? Each note in music can have different personalities, major, minor, diminished, augmented, and the sets of characters that you're hearing, whether they're part of a chord or a melodic line, like the mountain at the beginning, they're all part of this family, this cast of characters. There are 7 of them that makes the key, the scale. In this case, if we were to analyze the characters by maybe even playing every single possible note on the guitar and putting in the yes box or no box, like someone like this, yes, no, yes, no, yes, we would find 7 characters that make this cast of characters called the G-Lydian mode. So we're telling a G-Lydian story here. By the way, you can download this backing track and the scale diagrams for free at guitarplayback.com/download. So we're going to approach this section a little bit differently. We know the set of characters, G-Lydian, and instead of following a theme that is written, that is set in stone, I'm going to kind of freeform it. And for that, I'm going to use rhythm subdivisions. I'm going to phrase rhythmically. Instead of improvising with the notes, I'm going to improvise with the rhythm. So mentally, it sounds something like this. I've got my track. I can subdivide it. And I'm starting to make some phrases with that. Something like that. And I'm going to add some notes to that. It's more of a automatic type of playing. My fingers kind of take over using the scale patterns, maybe some licks, some sequences. It's kind of a free form thing. Some of you might know this analogy, but I use it sometimes and I think it's very useful. When you're writing something or when you're playing something, I like to see what you're playing as a liquid that pours out of you. That liquid can fill 2 different cups, a blue cup, a red cup. The blue cup is all the planned things, the melodic things where you have to follow things. That's the mountain we played over. We started with the blue cup. We were pouring that blue cup into that red cup. It's a very precise way of playing, very brainy. Your mind is really involved because you're singing what you're playing and your fingers are just kind of, following the direction of your mind. And then at some point, that blue cup is empty because it's very demanding mentally to think about these things. So at that point, your red cup, which is now filled, it's going to pour the liquid back into the blue cup, kind of refilling your mental energy, and your fingers are taking over. Anyways, we're going to play the whole thing. We'll start with the blue cup, volume at 8.5. I'm going to try to blend in, see what happens. An octave higher. Here's the red cup. And we're back with the Blue Cup. It's really about balance and surprises, excitement with containment. It's really all about storytelling. All right, well, that was the video. I hope you liked it. If not, sorry. But if you did, thank you. Let me know. You know what? Check this out. This will tell you more about the storytelling thing. This is Primal Guitar. It's a new thing I've been working on, and it's gonna really change everything. Click here to sign up. You'll be the first one to know about it when it comes out. And thanks for watching this video. Practice well. See you next time.